A destitute college student fishing by the stream occasionally received a token passed down by the Qing Emperor. From then on, the fish leaped over the dragon gate, and life was endless with joy. Carrying a small yellow dog, I went up the mountain to collect medicine, went down the river to catch fish, planted flowers and bees, hunted in the mountains and wild, tamed rare birds and animals, and helped the villagers become wealthy, creating the Taoyuan Mountain Village. Keywords of the novel. Xiaoyao Xiaoxiannong no pop-ups, Xiaoyao Xiaoxiannong TXT complete collection download, Xiaoyao Xiaoxiannong latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Colorful Koi, inherited by the Qing Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Colorful Koi, inherited by the Qing Emperor. In the scorching sun, cicadas chirp incessantly in the mountains and forests. It hurts. A painful and charming moan came over. Yi Xiaofan, holding a small hoe in his hand, was about to dig bamboo shoots when he suddenly stopped and listened attentively. There's really a woman shouting. No way, who is playing so exciting on the mountain? This voice is really captivating. It came from behind the secluded bushes from afar. He instinctively tiptoed over to take a look. The cute little German shepherd walked happily with his short legs and rushed into the bushes when he heard the sound. Then there was a fierce barking. Wang Kai. Yi Xiaofan was speechless for a moment. This little bastard is adding to the chaos. Oh, go away, go away. The woman screamed. Yi Xiaofan hurried over, afraid that Wang Kai might cause trouble. Rushed over. Wang Kai did not attack. In front of her was a panicked and sexy young woman, holding a twig to guard against wealth. Spring Peach sister-in-law. Yi Xiaofan recognized at a glance that the beautiful woman was someone who could make all the men in the village feel hot and unbearable. A famous widow from 10 miles and 8 townships. But the village said she had a husband's life and a broom star, and both husbands died suddenly when they were about to enter the bridal chamber. Men covet her, and women will curse her behind her back for being seductive. At this moment, wearing floral long sleeves and pants with large cracks, revealing snow-white and round thighs. Exquisite melon seed face, those peach blossom eyes are so charming that they can drip water and capture the souls of all men. Her figure is curvaceous and full, and her clothes are about to burst with pride and fullness. The coarse linen shirt cannot conceal her charm. Xiaofan. It's you. Wang Chuntao patted her chest and shook for a moment. No wonder this little dog is so familiar. Yi Xiaofan quickly averted his gaze. Wang Kai, you stinky guy. I only fed your sausage yesterday, are you going to bite me today? She scolded Wang Kai. Xiao Dimu grinned and ran over to please lick her shoes. Sorry. Xiaofan, are you digging wild vegetables in the mountains? Well, I dug up some bamboo shoots. Yi Xiaofan showcased the spoils of war from a short period of time. Wild mushrooms, tender bamboo shoots, and some wild vegetables. Yi Xiaofan looked at her thigh and said, Spring Peach sister, what's wrong with you? The exposed area seems to have wounds. Wang Chuntao blushed with embarrassment, panicked and covering up, shyly whispering, I fell, my pants were torn, and I was bitten by a snake. With a hint of crying, delicate and pitiful. Did you get bitten by a snake? Yi Xiaofan's face changed slightly. Let me see, it's not a venomous snake. I don't know if it's a venomous snake. That snake has green stripes, and now the wound feels hot, numb, and painful. Wang Chuntao said pitifully, what should I do now? It takes over an hour to go down the mountain, so there may not be enough time to take you to the town hospital. Yi Xiaofan doesn't know much about venomous snakes. I took out a folding knife and calmly suggested, I understand some first aid measures for snake venom. First, make a small incision in the wound and then suck it out. Sister-in-law, look. Okay, do as you say, be bold. Sister-in-law believes you. Wang Chuntao shyly lowered her head and sat sideways on the tree root, revealing her injured leg. The grey coarse cloth pants had a big crack, and she pulled open the crack. The tender and round thighs, in addition to bloodshot abrasions, have a shallow bite mark with a hint of bluish-black. Offensive. Yi Xiaofan crouched down and carefully examined the wound. The faint fragrance lingers on Wang Chuantao's body at the tip of his nose. The atmosphere is somewhat ambiguous. The sharp cry of Wang Kai woke up Yi Xiaofan. He carefully pressed down on her thigh with one hand and made a cross-shaped cut on the tooth mark. Hiss. Wang Chuntao let out a muffled snort, her face turning red and bleeding. Yi Xiaofan didn't hear clearly and just wanted to get things done as soon as possible, ignoring the differences between men and women. Open your mouth and touch her thigh, starting to suck on the snake venom. Take a sip and spit it out, then rinse your mouth with clean water, and then use drugs from time to time. Wang Chuntao could hear a painful groan in her ear. Alright, Yi Xiaofan scratched his head to conceal his embarrassment. I'll go find some water for you to clean. There should be herbs nearby that have therapeutic effects on snake venom. Please. Wang Chuntao found his reaction very interesting and smiled coquettishly. Yi Xiaofan took the kettle and hurriedly entered the mountains and forests. But he came back soon, took off his coat, and covered Wang Chuantao's thighs. Wang Chuntao coquettishly watched him enter the forest. Oh, Wang Chuntao. On the hillside, suddenly came the sound of surprise. A flowing young man, smoking a cigarette, looked down with a narrowed expression. Taoyuan village people detest dogs and despise rogue Zhang Lang. Wang Chuntao was greatly alarmed. You naughty hoof, you're flirting with wild men here, right? Are you still pretending to be noble and chaste with me in the village? Zhang Lang jumped down, filled with ecstasy. He immediately noticed the man's jacket on Wang Chuantao's lap. Under this coat, there's absolutely nothing on. I don't have one. What do you want to do? I'm going to shout for someone. Get out of here. Wang Chuntao wanted to stand up, but her feet softened and she sat down. Help. You shout, just shout. Call the whole village over. Widows and wild men are indulging in the mountains. Can others please you, but I cannot. Zhang Lang is not afraid at all. Wild mountains and ridges, besides the unknown wild man, who will come. Zhang Lang is not afraid of anyone in these 10 miles and 8 townships. He pounced excitedly and lifted his coat. Suddenly feeling a bit disappointed, did you still have to wear pants? The pants have a big hole, revealing the wound. He may have misunderstood. This is not important, the opportunity is rare. Zhang Lang grinned grimly, grabbed Wang Chuantao's hand, held it down, and tore through his clothes with one hand. Wang Chuntao struggled hard and kicked Wang Lang. It's of no use. Wang Lang pounced again. Wang Lang. Let go of her. Yi Xiaofan knew something had happened when he heard the commotion. Upon hearing the sound, he rushed over and picked up a stone on the ground, smashing it at Wang Lang. Which bastard dares to harm my good deeds? Yi Xiaofan. Wang Lang covered his head and cursed, so it was you and this widow who were having a rendezvous here, what a college student. Wang Chuntao quickly fled and hid behind Yi Xiaofan. Wang Lang, hurry up and get out. Yi Xiaofan sternly scolded while protecting Wang Chuantao's disheveled clothes. But my heart is beating drums. Wang Lang is really strong and muscular, with a strong physique. He often fights with people and has specialized in sanda. The outcome of a real battle can be imagined. Wang Kai was barking loudly beside him, always ready to fight alongside his master. Today is the day when the heavenly King Laozi comes, we have to make way. Wang Lang's face was grim as he picked up a small hoe and grinned, either come with me to deal with this slutty widow, I won't owe you anything, or you just go away and don't harm me. Yi Xiaofan quickly picked up a stone for self-defense and said, never think. I won't let you, this beast, succeed. The words have not yet finished. Without saying a word, Wang Lang rushed forward with a fierce momentum. A hoe hit Yi Xiaofan's head and he said, "Then you go die." Yi Xiaofan's head was instantly shattered and blood was flowing, standing straight and falling, with blood gushing out. Wang. Wang Kai angrily bit Wang Lang's pants leg and was kicked away. Ah! Wang Chuntao screamed, "Xiaofan, wake up, Xiaofan." Ah! Wang Lang woke up and looked at the bloody hoe and Yi Xiaofan on the ground. What did I do myself? I didn't mean to. Wang Lang just wanted to scare him. Wang Chuntao, did you also see that? It was him who tried to hit me with a stone, and I was in self-defense. Wang Lang threw away his hoe, rolled and crawled, and fled in embarrassment towards the foot of the mountain. Wang Chuntao, who was left crying uncontrollably, had no idea what to do. "Xiaofan, wake up quickly," she said. She didn't notice that a quaint jade pendant on Yi Xiaofan's chest emitted a faint light. Yi Xiaofan's consciousness fell into a beautiful fairyland shrouded in clouds and mist. "Inherit from me, enter my lineage, the Qing Emperor will endure forever, immortal forever." In a daze, as if someone is reciting scriptures. I don't know how long it took, but when Yi Xiaofan heard him open his eyes, a delicate, snow-white object in front of him pressed against his face, warm and soft. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Arrogant Erliu, transforming rotten wood into magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Arrogant Erliu, transforming rotten wood into magic, that, Sister Chuntao. What Yi Xiaofan has already seen. He was held in Wang Chuntao's arms. The loose light green vest on Wang Chuntao's body is hard to conceal the spring light. Wang Kai was on the side, anxiously shouting and constantly walking back and forth. "Xiaofan, you finally woke up and scared me to death." Wang Chuntao carefully released Yi Xiaofan. Her face was covered in tears, and she threw away the bloody handkerchief. "I really can't bear to carry Yi Xiaofan." Finally, while crying, I stopped the bleeding and cleaned the wound for Yi Xiaofan. "You were feeling hot just now. And the wound on your head is missing. There was a big hole in your forehead just now." Wang Chuntao stared at Yi Xiaofan's face, feeling incredulous. "Is that right?" Yi Xiaofan touched his head. "I feel like I've had a long dream, my mind is bulging, as if I've stuffed a lot of memories into it. His brain hurts whenever he thinks deeply." "What about Wang Lang? He didn't do anything to you, did he?" Yi Xiaofan felt a bit anxious and scanned the surroundings. "No, he thought it caused a loss of life and ran away in fear. You should have been unconscious for over half an hour." Wang Chuntao is very grateful. "I'm sorry, I'm too useless." "No, you're very brave." Wang Chuntao's face turned slightly red. "Let's go back to the village first, so that Wang Lang doesn't come back. You need to go to the hospital for a check-up." Yi Xiaofan was still lying on her lap, but he quickly got up after realizing it. "For some reason, my whole body feels full of strength now. If that Wang Lang comes again, I'm sure I can beat him." As he spoke, Yi Xiaofan punched the tree trunk. The big tree shook and its bark cracked. The power of a punch is evident. He was surprised for a moment. Is his fist so powerful? Later, it was discovered that the jade pendant on the chest had already shattered. That is the jade pendant he bought for 100 yuan from a roadside stall in the city. It seems that it saved itself. Yi Xiaofan couldn't afford to think too much. Simply tidy up. Wang Chuntao's shirt has been torn apart and cannot be worn at all. Yi Xiaofan kindly draped a coat over her. Return to the village. Many villagers have noticed them. There was a lot of whispering and pointing. The most glamorous widow in the village and the only college student in the village, dressed in tattered clothes. It's really thought-provoking. Yi Xiaofan can't care about so much, there are inexplicably more information in his memory. Wang Chunfang blushed and hastily bid farewell to Yi Xiaofan at the intersection. On Yi Xiaofan's way home, he passed by a small courtyard. Suddenly, a plastic flower pot hit him. Yi Xiaofan, shocked by his own reaction, raised his hand to catch the flower pot. Oh! College students, they react quite quickly. A young man with a scorpion tattoo on his neck walked out of the yard in a ruffian manner. Yi Xiaofan's face was displeased. Don't litter, it almost hit me. The young man's name is Tan Yun, and his nickname is Dog Egg. Yi Xiaofan had a fight with him before, but there was no intersection since high school. Helping people watch the casino, the reputation is not very good. I also have a deep friendship with that rogue Wang Lang. I almost hit it, isn't it just that I didn't hit it? Call me Mao, I was really hit. I'll compensate you 800 yuan. Tan Yun rolled his eyes disdainfully. He walked forward and looked at Wang Kai with ill intentions. He bent down in an attempt to grab onto Wang Kai. This German shepherd is really good, the meat should be very delicious. Wang Kai bared his teeth and growled low. It, which is only about a month old, has no deterrent power at all. Yi Xiaofan frowned slightly and stared at him for 2 seconds. What? Are you still fighting with me? No, don't be so angry. Win and lose money, lose and be hospitalized. Yi Xiaofan doesn't want to argue with such people. Tan Yun stood with his chest hugged. Seeing that Yi Xiaofan didn't respond, his arrogance grew even more arrogant. I can crush about 10 people with one hand like you, a bookworm, he said. Yi Xiaofan is too lazy to pay attention to him. Oh, you don't want this small leaf rosewood, do you? Yi Xiaofan noticed that there was a small-leaved rosewood plant in the flower pot. One of his wealthy roommates once raised him, reportedly spending a few tens of thousands of yuan and placing it on the balcony. At that time, they didn't believe it. Until wealthy roommates bring out chat and transfer records. This thing has a significant price difference. Poor quality small-leaved purple sandalwood costs tens to hundreds of yuan. But the top-quality small-leaf purple sandalwood costs tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of yuan. Tan Yun did not answer. Yi Xiaofan bent down and picked up this small-leaved rosewood plant, with the main trunk tilted and split in half. It seems that with a little more force, it will completely fracture and diagonally split in half. He could feel the stubborn yet decaying vitality of this plant, becoming even more careful and afraid to shake vigorously. This is a gift from a friend who runs a potted plant shop to Tan Yun on his birthday. The selling price in the store is over 500 yuan. But Tan Yun is not interested in potted plants and even attracts mosquitoes. No, it happened to be damaged by my younger cousin. He didn't want to, so he threw it away. Hee, you're really useless, picking up junk. Do you want me to introduce you to my uncle's garbage dump to collect waste? Tan Yun made sarcastic remarks. Yi Xiaofan held on to Xiaoyao Xiaoxiannong's head and did not leave. Ow! Wang Kai barked at Tan Yun twice before catching up with Yi Xiaofan. That's it, returning college students. It's really a waste of tuition fees. Tan Yun loudly sneered and mocked. Yi Xiaofan's home is located on the western slope of the village, with a relatively high terrain. It is a 2-story red brick house with a small courtyard, which is relatively dilapidated. There is a rundown electric tricycle parked at the door. My parents are not at home. Yi Xiaofan's father, Yi Taizhu, is a carpenter. Customize tables, chairs, benches, and repair furniture for residents in nearby villages and towns. The side job is to cover a piece of land and plant cherry trees. Mother Jiang he was helping on the side. After a lot of tinkering, it provided Yi Xiaofan with expenses such as studying, paying off debts, falling last year, hospitalization, and medical treatment. The family not only has no savings, but also owes some debts. Yi Taizhu hoped that this batch of cherries would ripen and be sold in the city to pay off the debt. Yi Xiaofan entered the room and casually threw Xiaoya Zitan into the corner of the bedroom, preparing to trim it later. Yi Xiaofan sat quietly recalling what was in his memory. This is a technique he obtained from his dream called Aokiju. The content is complex. The Qingmu Ju is divided into 3 chapters: cultivation, magic, and divine power. Among them, the cultivation section is the foundation. There are a total of 7 layers of content, representing 7 realms. Refining qi, building foundations, golden elixirs, yuanying. He can only see the content of the refining period at present. Start practicing according to the content of the Qingmu technique. One afternoon's time. A warm and peaceful atmosphere was born in Yi Xiaofan's dantian. This trace of power is called the aura of green wood. My physique has also improved to a certain extent, and my originally thin and weak body has obvious lines. In addition to the cultivation method, the magic chapter also includes the secret content of the spirit rain mantra. The Lingyu mantra uses clouds and rain to nourish all things, and has a strong ripening and strengthening effect on plants and trees. I should be able to cast a spirit rain curse now. Yi Xiaofan's expression was excited, and the aura of Dantian Qingmu moved foolishly. As he twirled his fingers, he murmured a mysterious spell. He had a faint green light on his hands, which turned into a faint white mist rising and enveloping the small leaves of purple sandalwood. A semi-transparent cloud with a diameter of only 20 centimeters. In the direction he pointed out, it enveloped the small leaf purple sandalwood. Clouds and mist began to sprinkle on the misty drizzle, nourishing the small leaves of rosewood. It's amazing. His adventures today are all real. Shi Yunbu, this is a divine technique. Yi Xiaofan became increasingly excited. One Cai's eyes were wide open, and his voice was young and full of fear. Wang, it bounces and jumps. 1 minute later, the spirit rain curse dissipated. The gentle breeze blows, and the small leaves of the rosewood sway, conveying joy, and vitality begins to flourish. Yi Xiaofan was in dire straits, as the greenwood energy in his body was depleted. Pale complexion, tinnitus and dizziness, mental exhaustion, very uncomfortable. Stuck. A crisp sound woke him up. The small-leaved purple sandalwood grows at a visible speed and is thick, with green bark growing at the fracture site and growing independently along the fracture. 3 small-leaved rosewood trees, thus becoming 5. The crack only left a pattern like crack. The crown of the tree is lush with branches and leaves, lush and verdant. Like jade, shiny and delicate, with upright branches, noble and elegant, emitting a faint fragrance. The changes in a short period of time are like fish leaping over a dragon gate, with significant changes. Now this small-leaved rosewood is much better than his roommate's one. Yi Xiaofan exclaimed in amazement, marveling at the miraculous power of the spirit rain curse in transforming decay. Just this appearance, can we sell it for at least 20,000 to 30,000 yuan? Yi Xiaofan whispered to himself. He is too short of money. Since my grandfather fell seriously ill, my family has been heavily in debt. Yi Taizhu, where did you die? Hurry up and get me out. Suddenly, there was a fierce knocking on the door, accompanied by verbal abuse. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The wealthy pay a deposit, while the old man comes to collect the debt. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The wealthy pay a deposit, while the old man comes to collect the debt. Uncle Li, what's wrong? You're so angry. Yi Xiaofan hurriedly ran downstairs. Open the door and take a look. It's Mr. Li from across the street. Your father is not here. Li Lao Han looked into the room. Your grandfather fell seriously ill 2 years ago, and your father borrowed 50,000 yuan from me. This has been almost 2 years. I promised to give it today, but I haven't seen anyone else's shadow yet. Li Laohan has a hot temper. With a disdainful glance at Yi Xiaofan, he said, "You're at least the only college student in our village. You've been working in the city for 2 years, and you can't even afford this money. Your father asked me not to tell you, but the father pays off the debt." Yi Xiaofan was somewhat surprised and nodded blankly. Yes, father and son repay the debt. It should be the same if you ask me for it. Only then did I realize that my family owed Li Laohan such a large amount of debt. So you have money. I heard that you were fired by someone else's company for molesting a female colleague, and you didn't even get severance pay. I don't know who spread this news. Li Laohan's eyes became even more contemptuous when he heard about this matter. "Ah, I was falsely accused." Yi Xiaofan said helplessly, "All right, if you don't accuse me, I don't care. How can you repay this 50,000 yuan? Including the interest, we still have to repay 53,000 yuan now." Li Laohan interrupted him and didn't care about Yi Xiaofan's private affairs. "I'll pay you 10,000 first, and the rest. I'll pay you back as soon as possible." Yi Xiaofan felt slightly embarrassed. "To be ashamed, I have been working for nearly 2 years and my salary is not very high, with a monthly salary of around 6,000 yuan. Except for daily expenses, most of the rest is sent home. It's actually not easy to save 10,000. How long is it to be as soon as possible? Your father said it was as soon as possible 6 months ago, and it has been dragging on until now." Li Laohan shouted loudly. "Ah, I'm really sorry." Yi Xiaofan felt very guilty. 3 days, at most 3 days. Otherwise, I will have the old village chief preside over justice and use a loudspeaker at the village entrance to urge you for debt. Li Laohan snorted coldly. "Uncle Li, I will definitely repay you the money. How can we live in Taoyuan village in the future if you do this?" Yi Xiaofan was greatly shocked. The village is not big. Everyone knows that the Yi family is a scoundrel, and everyone looks down on them. Li Laohan shook his hand and left. At least he's a college student. Why is he so unproductive? Which of the young people in the village can earn as much as you when they go to the construction site to move bricks? I can't even afford 50,000 yuan, it's really embarrassing. Li Laohan didn't leave a trace of face before leaving. Yi Xiaofan felt quite helpless. It is only natural to repay debts. But he couldn't think for a moment where he could gather so much money. What about college students? In terms of income, in some professions, the income is really not as good as those construction workers. After much thought, there is no better solution. Father Yi Taizhu is the only carpenter in the village. Customizing tables, chairs, and benches for villagers, repairing furniture, and so on, this income is not high and barely makes a living. The side job is to cover a piece of land and plant cherry trees. Mother Jiang he helped manage the small orchard and vegetable field. A few years ago, I made some profit, but in recent years, the market has been bad, competition has been fierce, and cherries cannot make ends meet. After a lot of tinkering, it was used to support Yi Xiaofan's education expenses, including last year's expenses such as falls and hospitalization for his grandfather's illness. After calculation, not only did he not save up, but he also owed a lot of foreign debt. The specific amount is unclear. They never say this to Yi Xiaofan. Yi Xiaofan sat on a chair and started creating an account on Hongyin. Alas, to repay this money, we can only see if anyone has taken Xiaoya purple sandalwood. The Lingyu curse has a strong effect. If it can ripen the cherries in the orchard. But it will take another month to ripen. 3 days is definitely not enough. It is unrealistic to sell small leaf rosewood by shouting in the village or looking for a seller in the town. It is difficult to find wealthy buyers willing to pay a high price for small leaf rosewood in nearby areas. As the largest short video platform in China, Hongyin has over 500 million users. More than 1/3 of the people in the town are users of Hongyin. Yi Xiaofan decisively chose to search for buyers on this platform. Bring in that noble and beautiful small leaf rosewood. Find the right angle and lighting, and start taking videos and photos. Choose the best materials, edit and upload them in one go. Premium small leaf rosewood, interested buyers private chat. Hongyin brings together people from all walks of life, including some potted plant enthusiasts. This video will be automatically recommended to some potted plant enthusiasts through platform algorithms. I hope to find buyers online or understand the market situation. Always monitor the back end of Hongyin. Yi Xiaofan waited anxiously, and no one contacted him for a long time. In the evening, Yi Xiaofan woke up, feeling refreshed. After 2 or 3 hours of cultivation, the qi of Qingmu has been restored and even slightly strengthened. There is noise coming from outside the house. Brother Li, sigh, even though he made a promise, he promised to pay back the money at the end of the year. Suddenly asked for money and sold me, they didn't even raise enough. It seems that his son is a bad gambler and owes a lot of debt. He has no choice but to do so. Well, I know, but the original plan was to sell all the cherries, and then sell the cherry trees as well. By the end of the year, we could definitely raise 50,000 yuan. But now that the cherries are not ripe, who wants them? They're not growing well either. Never mind, I'll go find my older brother tomorrow and see if we can borrow some from him, Jiang he sighed. Come on, this wife-afraid thing. My own father is seriously ill and hospitalized, and he only brought over 1,000 yuan. In the end, he didn't even rely on us. He definitely wouldn't lend us money. The most important thing now is to repay the usurious loan of that bully rotten legs and Li Sanji's debt can still be dragged on for a while. Xiaofan is at home, let's not say anything for now, so as not to worry him. The couple whispered and placed some carpenter tools in the corner. Yi Xiaofan was secretly surprised that his hearing had also improved, and he could hear his parents whispering clearly. Xiaofan, come back so early. I heard from old Chen that you came back with widow Wang from the village. Yi Taizhu walked into the house, wearing a shabby dark blue work uniform. Xiaofan, stay away from Wang Chuntao. People's words are terrifying. You haven't married a wife yet. If you are too close to a widow, it's easy for people to gossip. Jiang Heru gave a gentle admonition, with a hint of harshness. As soon as they returned to the village, they heard the old lady at the entrance of the village talking about Yi Xiaofan and the widow. My sister Law Chuntao and I are pure and innocent. Those gossipy women love to spread rumors. Don't pay attention to them. Yi Xiaofan answered nonchalantly. I still have to nag my parents. Yi Xiaofan quickly waved his hand and said, Uncle Li just came to ask for debt. I'll pay him 10,000 yuan first, and I'll gather all the money for the remaining 3 days to pay off the debt as soon as possible. Ah. Well. You don't have to worry, your mother and I have a way to handle it. Yi Taizhu forced a smile on his face. Jiang He agreed, there have been quite a few things going on lately. Once the cherries are sold, we can pay off old Li's debt. Oh, besides Uncle Li, who else do we owe? Yi Xiaofan wants to understand the family's debt situation. We cannot just let our parents bear pressure. Don't worry, take a break at home for a while. I have already asked someone to help you find a job. You can go out to work with peace of mind then. Yi Taizhu has a tough attitude. Subsequently, he ignored Yi Xiaofan's inquiries. He picked up Wang Kai, who had been wagging his tail, sat on a chair and teased the little dog on his own. Jiang He entered the kitchen and said, I'll go cook. Oh, what kind of plant is Xiaofan in this pot? It looks pretty good. Yi Taizhu noticed that Yi Xiaofan was playing with a potted plant. Xiaoya purple sandalwood. Xiaoya purple sandalwood. Where did you get it? Tanyan lost it, don't want it. I'll pick it up, maybe I can make some money with it. If it's valuable, why did he lose it? Yi Taizhu laughed heartily, feeling that his son was a bit naive. No one would spend money on this thing, he said. Rich people have different tastes and styles, and are willing to spend money. Yi Xiaofan firmly believes that there will be people interested in this small-leaved rosewood, but it is simply a matter of price. The phone vibrates, and Hong Yin pops up a private message. Immediately, it made Yi Xiaofan ecstatic. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Debt Situation, Cherries Mature. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Debt Situation, Cherries Mature. User, Drunk and Dreamy. Brother, haven't you sold Xiaoyao purple sandalwood? I'll take it for 1,000 yuan. 1,000 yuan. It's really far from what Yi Xiaofan expected. This little money cannot solve the urgent situation. Too low, sorry. Yi Xiaofan quickly replied to the message. How much do you think? 100,000 yuan. Yi Xiaofan hesitated a bit. Not familiar with the market situation. This type of small-leaved purple sandalwood is uncertain about its specific level, whether it belongs to the highest quality or superior. He has no idea how much he can sell for. Drunk and Dreamy. 100,000 yuan. Are you crazy? You want to eat shit? Up to 2,000 yuan, you can sell it or not. I'm sorry, I really can't sell it. Yi Xiaofan sighed. If you want to talk more, send him more photos of the potted plants and discuss the price. The result was posted, with a red exclamation mark that was blacked out below the video. There are also over 10 more comments. TSK, what a beautiful small leaf rosewood. Brother, how much does it cost to sell or not? How much is it? Yi Xiaofan's mood is slightly better. It seems that many people are interested in this small-leaved rosewood plant. We can definitely find a suitable buyer. As for the specific selling price, 100,000 yuan is his ideal price, its best. But if it doesn't work, 80,000 is fine, 50,000 is fine, and 30,000 is not something that cannot be considered. We must definitely strive for the highest price. He started private chatting with users who left messages one by one. Some people also took the initiative to privately chat with him. User, King of Chu River. This small-leaved purple sandalwood is good, but unfortunately, the small cracks in the trunk greatly affect its beauty. Brother, if you want to sell it, the price cannot be high, 15,000 yuan. Do you want to sell it or not? User, Little Old Man. The cracks on the roots and trunks of trees are a failure, it's really regrettable. How much will they sell? User, I am the largest in Nanxian County. Smash stuff, fixed price, 50 yuan free shipping. The asking price can range from 1,000 yuan to around 10,000 yuan. Chat with around 20 users one after another. Although none of them gave Yi Xiaofan a satisfactory price, the level of popularity really gave him a lot of confidence. They have similar opinions and will deliberately point out non-existent flaws in order to lower the price. Just about to talk to Zhong Jianjun about the price again. Suddenly, a message popped up. Zhong Jianjun. Friend, I have collected 60,000 yuan. Yi Xiaofan was filled with surprise and joy, but he didn't expect another tycoon to come. 70,000 yuan. Yi Xiaofan tentatively sent out a message. 60,000 yuan is already the limit, its flaws are too obvious. The pattern-like cracks are too abrupt, affecting the overall appearance and artistic conception. No one except me can offer 60,000 yuan. Zhong Jianjun quickly sent a reply. However, Yi Xiaofan seeks wealth and only wants to sell to the highest bidder. Not being cautious, he sent messages to potential buyers such as Drunk and Dreamy and King of Chu River, saying, now there are buyers offering 60,000 yuan to purchase. Do you want to offer a higher price? Damn it, 60,000 yuan. Which local tycoon, don't want it or not? I would only buy it for 50,000 yuan at most. Drunk and Dreamy refused. 60,000 yuan. Hehe, this thing can't reach this price. 20,000 yuan is the limit, my friend, don't be fooled. The king of Chu replied. Is that so? Yi Xiaofan is skeptical. But is it also a scam to speak up for 30,000 yuan in a drunken and dreamy manner? He doesn't quite believe what King Jiang of Chu said. I will pay attention. Yi Xiaofan did not continue chatting with King Chu Jiang. 60,000 yuan is 60,000 yuan. How should we trade? Yi Xiaofan asked Zhong Jianjun. I haven't had time to travel far these 2 days. You should also be from Chujiang, right? Zhong Jianjun asked after reading Yi Xiaofan's personal information. Yes. Where should I come and collect it? Taoyuan Village, Nan County. Nan County. It's not far from Chujiang City. I haven't heard of Taoyuan Village before. I'll come over tomorrow and tell me your phone number and name first. Zhong Jianjun was still not quite at ease. Alright, I'll pay you a deposit of 8,000 yuan first. Don't turn around and sell it to anyone else. After speaking, a transfer of 8,000 yuan was sent. Yi Xiaofan was quite surprised. What kind of tycoon is this? Aren't you afraid that I'll blackmail you once I receive it? Yi Xiaofan clicked on the transfer information. 8,000 yuan received, automatically transferred to the balance of Hongyin. This deposit also dispelled some of Yi Xiaofan's concerns. I know your information, but I'm afraid you might run away. So far, no one who dares to play with me has a good end. Zhong Jianjun sneered. Oh. Don't worry, I'm joking. Call me when you arrive at Taoyuan Village tomorrow. Yi Xiaofan replied. Zhong Jianjun went offline. Yi Xiaofan got up and ran towards the yard. Why are you going? We're only halfway through the meal. Jiang He frowned and looked at Yi Xiaofan's bowl, which still had 2/3 of the rice. Yi Xiaofan moved Xiaoya Zitan into the house and placed it on the windowsill of the second-floor bedroom. I just sat back at the dinner table now, suddenly running out, just to move this broken tree into the room. Jiang He glanced at his son in silence. The potted plants looked pretty, Yi Taizhu noticed when he returned. They didn't have the bright colors of flowers, but their shapes were upright, with a special atmosphere. Broken tree. Mom, do you know how much it's worth? After receiving the deposit, Yi Xiaofan had a lot of confidence and held the bowl with a thud. Hehe, why can we still sell for 100 yuan? Iron pillar, are you willing to buy it? Jiang He was displeased with his son's expression. 100 yuan. Yi Taizhu shook his head. If it's 10 yuan, I'll consider it. No matter how beautiful, it's just a decoration, neither edible nor usable. Fools spend hundreds or even thousands to buy it. No, someone. Forget it. Yi Xiaofan originally wanted to reveal the acquisition price of the wealthy buyer. However, the transaction has not been completed yet, and the 8 characters have just been skimmed. It's too early to say now. If the buyer reneges at night, wouldn't it be slapping their own face? You'll know tomorrow, Yi Xiaofan said mysteriously. Jiang Hebai glanced at him and said, hurry up and eat. I haven't finished my meal for half an hour. The slowest one is to wash the dishes. That must be a fortune, Yi Xiaofan glanced not far away. Don't be fooled by the wagging of one side's tail, chew it carefully and slowly while eating, take a sip of rice and drink a sip of water. Wang Kai looked up foolishly and called out adorably to Yi Xiaofan twice. Early the next morning. The black Mercedes Maybach drove into Taoyuan Village, splashing a puddle of sewage, causing a lot of onlookers. The car is covered in dust and mud, but it does not affect its noble luxury, which is out of place with the backward small village. A bold person has approached Maybach, who is slowly stopping. The car window rolled down, and the driver was a middle-aged handsome man wearing sunglasses and a mustache, who had just hung up the phone. "Hey, do you know Yi Xiaofan's house?" Zhong Jianjun glanced around and asked the nearest villagers for the specific location. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Rise of the Rich and the Battle of Potting Plants. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Rise of the Rich and the Battle of Potting Plants. Yi Xiaofan. "I know, I'll take you there. This way. Xiaofan is already familiar with me." Immediately, a young man in the crowd enthusiastically raised his hand. The youth leads the way ahead. Zhong Jianjun drove at low speed, following behind without paying any attention to the gaze of the surrounding villagers. The villagers also followed. They are just too curious. "Why does this car cost over 100,000 yuan?" murmured an old man. "I think it's 200,000. Hiss, being beautiful is beautiful, but it's too expensive, isn't it?" About 20 middle-aged and elderly villagers exclaimed in surprise. Villagers are following vehicles one after another. Among the crowd, there are also many young people who spend years browsing the internet or watching short videos, and have more knowledge than the older generation. 200,000 yuan. 200,000 yuan is not enough to buy it with 4 wheels. This is Maybach's 5602 million yuan. A young man with glasses pursed his lips, as if the car belonged to him. Is it really fake? Damn it, over 2 million. It's enough to buy 2 houses. I'm really willing to drive it. If this car were mine, I would have to make it my ancestor. TSK, look at your unremarkable appearance. Those who can drive this luxury car, at least earning 3 to 5 million yuan a year, are they afraid of damaging it? The villagers showed different expressions, either envious and longing, or wondering how anyone would be willing to spend so much money on a car. They are even more curious, when did Yi Xiaofan's family climb the ranks of tycoons? Yi Xiaofan's friends and relatives. Come on, if he had such friends, I would eat a pound of shit. You're really disgusting. But that's right, Yi Xiaofan can't have such friends. If you're wrong, I'll eat 2 pounds. As the luxury car comes to a stop, the villagers gathered not far away, watching the driver get off the car. Another murmur. The young man leading the way, with a smile on his face, followed him and pointed to the red brick courtyard. "I'll help you call him," he said. Zhong Jianjun nodded, his voice deep, and he looked at the dilapidated courtyard covered in moss with great interest. "I just contacted him, his parents are at home. Xiaofan, a big boss in the city is looking for you." Wang Erniu walked into the yard. Yi Taizhu and Jiang He heard the commotion and left the house one after another, both very surprised. The big boss in the city. "Uncle Taizhu, Aunt Jiang, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and invite the CEO into the house to brew tea to entertain you." Oh. Please come in." So many villagers gathered in the yard. Yi Taizhu understood from the bottom of his heart that this gentleman wearing sunglasses had an extraordinary background. "I dare not ask too many questions. Hurry up and invite Zhong Jianjun into the house." "You're welcome, I'm just a buyer. I made an appointment with Mr. Yi Xiaofan to come and pick up the goods." Zhong Jianjun doesn't like these villagers gathering around like monkeys. But it didn't show on the face. Be polite to Yi Xiaofan's parents. Jiang He hastily brewed tea, feeling somewhat flattered. Yi Taizhu quickly took the time to call his son. Buyer. 7 or 8 villagers who were familiar with Yi Taizhu entered the house confidently and sat in the corner. The other villagers are all blocking the entrance. "Are you here to collect antiques?" A few years ago, merchants came all over to purchase old items. "What do you want to buy?" Wang Erniu was very curious. "Shouldn't it be buying cherries? Their cherries are not ripe." "A pot of small-leaved rosewood." Xiaoya purple sandalwood. Is it that potted plant? Yi Taizhu suddenly realized. Yi Xiaofan did indeed mention this pot of small-leaf rosewood mysteriously yesterday. In the crowd, a mischievous young man was taken aback. So coincidental. Tanyan frowned and muttered, he only threw away a pot of small-leaf purple sandalwood yesterday and was picked up by Yi Xiaofan. Is someone coming to buy small-leaf purple sandalwood today? At this moment, there was movement coming from outside the door. Yi Xiaofan walked into the room amidst a wave of cheers, with Zhai Wenkai sandwiched under his ribs. Are you Mr. Zhong Jianjun? I'll go upstairs and get the potted plant. Please wait a moment. Yi Xiaofan already has the answer, put Wenkai on the ground. Zhong Jianjun nodded calmly and examined Yi Xiaofan. This young man is handsome and full of spirit, with a scholarly temperament, a deep and divine gaze, and a strong and slender figure. Among a group of rustic rural farmers, it stands out from the crowd. Zhong Jianjun nodded secretly. Yi Xiaofan quickly went upstairs and came down with Xiaoya Zitan in his hand. Countless gazes gathered on Xiaoya purple sandalwood. Can this thing sell for money? I'm looking up the mountain, isn't it everywhere? What kind of small-leaf purple sandalwood? I can't see anything good about it. How much is it worth? In the midst of whispering, Zhong Jianjun stood up in surprise and looked at Xiaoya Zitan. He has a collection of numerous rare potted plants. This pot of small-leaved purple sandalwood, if it doesn't have those patterned marks on the trunk, is definitely top-notch. However, these seemingly naturally formed peculiar patterns also make it stand out. It can also be considered a difficult-to-find high-quality product. If properly decorated and trimmed, it can still be more beautiful. What do you think? Yi Xiaofan placed the potted plant on the table. Well, that's great. It's more imposing and artistic than what the video shows. Zhong Jianjun nodded. Yesterday I gave a deposit of 8,000 yuan, and now I have settled the remaining balance, which is 52,000 yuan. He didn't talk much, played with his phone, and transferred money to Yi Xiaofan. Yi Taizhu, Jiang He, and others were shocked. How much? Did they hear you right? Can a small sapling be worth so much money? The villagers were stunned. Yi Xiaofan received the transfer information on Hongyin and clicked to receive payment. Zhong Jianjun's face was full of excitement and he couldn't wait to leave with Xiaoya Zitan. At this moment, a person suddenly rushed out and pushed away Zhong Jianjun. Take a closer look at Xiaoya purple sandalwood. At the root of the tree, there is an inconspicuous green and black cloud pattern, as well as a dark red porcelain pot. This is mine. Tanyan widened his eyes and was very certain. Yi Xiaofan, this is my pot of small-leaf rosewood. Tanyan didn't like this pot of small-leaved purple sandalwood, but he vividly remembered when his friend gave it to him, pointing to the cloud pattern on the tree root and saying that Tanyan's name also had a cloud character. This potted plant is clearly the one he threw away. However, he did not understand that Yi Xiaofan was able to repair the small purple sandalwood, which was originally damaged and partially cracked. Zhong Jianjun's face was gloomy and he frowned. Brother Yi, what's going on? Yi Xiaofan shrugged and said, this guy may have gone crazy. Yesterday, he threw away a severely cracked and damaged small-leaf rosewood, which I picked up. Now that I know Xiaoya Zitan can sell for 60,000 yuan, I think this is his pot. It's really funny. Wait a moment, I will take care of it. Yi Xiaofan walked towards Tan Yun and reached out to grab Tan Yun's wrist. Don't touch it randomly. If it's damaged, it will affect the transaction. Can you compensate me? With a little force, Tan Yun's face turned red and he felt pain, but he couldn't break free. Yi Xiaofan was too strong. You let go of me, this is the little purple sandalwood I lost. It's really funny. When you call it, can it reply to you? Or is your name on it? The small leaf rosewood you threw away yesterday has split in half. Open your dog's eyes and see if my pot of small leaf rosewood has cracked. To take a step back, even if it's yours, you throw it on the road with your own hands and don't want it anymore. Is it possible to still want it back now? Yi Xiaofan waved his hand. Tan Yun stumbled back, clutching his wrist. He couldn't have let Yi Xiaofan earn 60,000 yuan without realizing it. End of this chapter. Chapter 6 Cherries Picking. The wonderful use of greenwood qi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Cherries Picking. The wonderful use of greenwood qi. The villagers looked at each other in confusion, and there was still some insider information. A young man with a pockmarked face suddenly spoke up and said, Tan Yun, do you want to have face? I saw with my own eyes that the small purple sandalwood you threw outside the door was broken, just because Xiaofan picked it up, mocking Xiaofan for picking it up. Now point to this pot and say it's yours. I don't even want my face, do I? I can testify to Xiaofan that this is not Tan Yun's pot of small leaf purple sandalwood at all. The young man with a pockmarked face is Tan Yun's neighbor. I heard a conversation between two people in the yard yesterday, and even looked up twice. With witnesses, things become clearer. In addition, Tan Yun has a very poor reputation in the village. Everyone believed that this was a prank to occupy. Get lost. Yi Xiaofan scolded and glared angrily at Tan Yun. Tan Yun, the big boss in the city is here. Even if you're just fooling around, don't look at the situation. Hurry up and leave. If you feel dissatisfied, you can call the police. The villagers supported one after another. Okay, Yi Xiaofan. You're shameless enough, wait for me. Tan Yun saw that he was isolated and unreasonable, so calling the police was definitely useless. He glared fiercely at Yi Xiaofan, then slammed the door and left. Sigh. Yi Xiaofan was very helpless. If it were someone with good character, Yi Xiaofan might still be able to give him 3,000 to 5,000 yuan. Tan Yun is such a thug, forget it. A hungry wolf that can't be fed enough. If there are still good potted plants in the future, feel free to contact me. Zhong Jianjun didn't care about the small dispute just now, he just watched a scene. He took Xiaoya purple sandalwood and emphasized it. Okay. Yi Xiaofan sent Zhong Jianjun out. Jiang He and Yi Taizhu followed behind. Maybach started and drove away from the village with a pleasant engine sound. After the wealthy left, the villagers stayed at Zhou Tieju's house. It's really strange these days, just a small tree can sell for 60,000 yuan. TSK. Who said it's not? There are many quirks in the city. A few years ago, wild vegetables could be sold for 20.30 yuan per kilogram. What a big loser. Just buy a small tree for 60,000 yuan. Sigh, I can't understand. Hahaha, if we can understand, we may also become wealthy. Everyone laughed and talked. Impressed by the high cost of Xiaoya purple sandalwood. They couldn't even imagine that the top quality small leaf purple sandalwood could be sold for millions of yuan. Mr. and Mrs. Yi Taizhu entertained everyone and answered their inquiries. Yi Xiaofan has also become the center of the topic. Many elderly people praise Yi Xiaofan for his abilities. Some peers are also inquiring about where Yi Xiaofan got the potted plant. I was fooled by Yi Xiaofan. Half an hour later, these talents gradually left. Not long after, Li Laohan eagerly came to his door and said, I heard I sold a small sapling and earned 60,000 yuan. Yes, Xiaofan found a buyer online. I still feel like I'm dreaming now. Amazing. Li Laohan raised his thumb and hesitated to speak. The attitude is much better than yesterday. He rubbed his hands. Uncle Li, I'll transfer the money to you now. Yi Xiaofan naturally understood his intention of visiting. Don't rush. At this point, it's not urgent. That's not what I said yesterday. Yi Taizhu sighed and went to pour tea for Li Laohan. I'm not as angry as yesterday. Anyway, when Li Laohan was in urgent need of money, he lent them money. This is kindness. If someone complains or even resents Li Laohan because he is being urged to pay debts, wouldn't he become a white-eyed wolf? Uncle Li Zhen, come and have some fruit. Jiang He brought fruit, which was just prepared for Zhong Jianjun. But they left without touching a single word. No need, I just had breakfast. Li Laohan felt a little guilty instead. Yesterday. Uncle Li, I transferred the money to you. I'm sorry for taking so long to repay the money and causing you trouble. Yi Xiaofan displays his phone information and politely apologizes. Li Laohan felt even more ashamed and sneered, then I'll accept it. Sigh, Taizhu, you have a good son. Learning to be a good person and being filial. Where, this kid is such a jerk. But. Uncle Li, you're so anxious for money, shouldn't it be a pawn gambling again? Alas, it's too much to say. Old man Li's blush turned red, and the lie of buying a house was exposed. It's not a big deal to keep going like this. No matter how much money you have, you can't stop the hole. You're so old, you can still support him for a lifetime. You should keep some retirement money for yourself. Li sighed and shook his head. The two of them were chatting. After Yi Xiaofan transferred the account, there was still 20,000 yuan in the card, which was transferred to his father. He couldn't bear to take care of Li Laohan's family affairs. The cherry orchard on the small mountain in the north of the village. Standing on the field ridge, looking around, there are lush cherry trees hanging with small green fruits. Not growing well, small and lethargic in stature. About 600 cherries were planted on an area of 5 acres. In the first 2 years, cherry trees were of low age and had low yields, making it impossible to make a profit. In the 3rd year, due to poor market conditions, I also lost some money. This year's growth is not good, and Yi Taizhu is disheartened. He is preparing to sell all the cherries and fruit trees to pay off Li Laohan's debt. The theoretical yield per mu of a 4-year cherry tree will be around 3,000 kilograms. As long as it takes a month, they will mature. However, Yi Xiaofan's thoughts surged. The Lingyu mantra can have an effect on Xiaoya purple sandalwood, and naturally on cherries. He began to cast the spirit rain curse. The emerald green wood energy condenses, gathers hands, transforms into a cloud and mist ball, rises into mid-air, and stretches out. The power of the spirit rain curse has increased significantly. The 5-meter square Lingyu curse clouds, drizzling drizzle, can cover 7 or 8 cherry trees. After witnessing the spiritual rain moistening the cherry tree, Yi Xiaofan still had half of the aura of green wood in his body. He practiced overnight and made amazing progress. Yi Xiaofan began to cast the second spiritual rain spell to nourish the second batch of cherry trees. When the chi of Aoki was exhausted, Yi Xiaofan sat under the cherry tree and meditated to recover. His cultivation efficiency was actually 50% faster than when the elixir field was full. It can irrigate trees and accelerate cultivation speed. Yi Xiaofan has become more motivated. Focusing on cultivation without any distractions, I don't know how long it took before I smelled a refreshing fragrance. The sound of Wang Cai's childish voice is constant. Yi Xiaofan was startled awake. Looking up, the cherry trees that have been moistened by the spiritual rain have actually matured. More than 20 cherry trees nearby are filled with plump, shiny, and fragrant deep red cherries. From a distance, it looks like ruby after ruby. The fruit trees are full of vitality, forming a sharp contrast with the cherry trees that are not yet ripe in the distance. Wow, it's so sweet. Yi Xiaofan decisively picked one and tasted it. This cherry has no sourness, is sweet and juicy, and has a perfect taste. Ow! Wang Cai faces the cherry upwards, bouncing and jumping. It also wants to eat. Try it too. remember to spit out the seeds, Yi Xiaofan warned, afraid that this little one would swallow the seeds. Watching it skillfully nibble on the cherry, carefully spitting out the fruit pit. Yi Xiaofan is now at ease. Wang Wang. It still wants to eat. One person, one dog, eat cherries until you're full. Wang Kai lay happily on the grass, with a round belly and many fruit pits with some flesh around him. More than 20 cherry trees, not to mention hundreds of pounds of cherries. Yi Xiaofan plans to go back and bring a basket later to sell cherries in the city. Cherries grown in greenhouses or imported during this period are very expensive. He can't wait to go back and tell his parents the good news. When I returned home, I saw some villagers watching, shaking their heads and sighing. The room was a mess. Yi Taizhu has a blue nose and swollen eyes, and some villagers are helping to tidy up scattered objects. Dad, who hit you? Yi Xiaofan suppressed his anger and clenched his fist. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Struggle for Boots, Playing with the Old Lady. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Struggle for Boots, Playing with the Old Lady, sigh. It's the rotten leg from the neighboring village. Your dad owes him money, it's still a high-interest loan, 20,000 yuan, rolling interest, it's only 2 weeks, and now he needs to repay 100,000 yuan. Iron Pillar was not convinced, so that group of people started hitting people. Alas, Taizhu, you really mean it. No one from all over the country knows what kind of money you can't borrow. If you borrow a penny, you have to repay him 1,000 yuan. 3 or 4 young people, you and I talked about what happened just now. Yi Taizhu had a complex complexion and covered his face with a hot towel. Jiang he cried softly beside her, apologizing all the time, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. Many villagers are curious about what happened to the Yi family. They owed Li Laohan 50,000 yuan in front of them, and then came to visit them with high-interest loans in the back. Various speculations were mixed, with strange eyes, constantly probing, trying to find out the reason. Yi Xiaofan gritted his teeth and wished he could immediately go find that group of people to settle accounts. But maintaining rationality made him suppress his anger. Thank you all for your help. You guys go back first, we'll take care of it. I will take care of my parents, everyone go back first. Emphasize several times. Yi Taizhu also forced a smile on his face and signaled to his friends in the village that he could handle it. Okay, let me know if you have anything to say. Xiaofan, take care of your father and don't be impulsive. The villagers turned around and left step by step. In groups of 3 or 5, whispering, some speculate that Yi Xiaofan, like Shaoli across from him, has become a bad gambler and owes a huge debt. Some people also speculate that it is related to the Yi family's small orchard industry. After they left. Dad, Mom, what's going on? How much debt does our family owe? Yi Xiaofan said with a serious expression. A moment of silence. Jiang he sobbed and said, I have almost repaid my debts in the past 2 years. I have saved 20,000 yuan and plan to repay Li Laohan's debts by the end of the year. But your uncle owed a lot of money for gambling a while ago. Your father and I pieced together and only raised 20,000 yuan, which is not enough. I really had no choice but to borrow money from Rotten Leg He. I had originally planned to sell cherries next month and repay him, but as a result, Li Laohan was in a hurry to ask for money, and Rotten Leg He came to urge debt, completely disrupting the plan. Jiang he wiped away his tears. No matter what, we can't hit anyone. Yi Xiaofan lowered his voice, I'll settle accounts with him later. Xiaofan, we can't compete with him in our family. The top priority is to find an intermediary first, and then talk to him to see if we can make it less. Yi Taizhu quickly stopped. Yi Xiaofan did not mention the matter of accounting with them again. Soothing my parents. He won't let go of his rotten legs. By the way, some cherries in the orchard are ripe. No, right. Your father and I only met this morning, both of us are sickly. We both planned to go to the county to consult with the elders from the neighboring village. Really, I won't lie to you. Go take a look tomorrow morning and you'll know. Yi Xiaofan brings up good news and shifts the topic. Early the next morning. Wang Kai was willing to help, but could only follow behind and pick up the cherries that were scattered on the ground and pile them together. Yi Xiaofan brought his parents to the orchard. Yi Taizhu and Jiang He were amazed when they saw the ripe cherry tree. Oh, I'm really familiar with it. It's a bit strange. Anyway, it's a good thing. If you mature it half a month in advance, you can sell it for a higher price. Wow, this is also so delicious. It's so big, like a plum. Right, right. Yi Taizhu and his wife followed. I found Yi Xiaofan in the corner of the cherry orchard and also discovered over 20 mature cherry trees. The cherries in the other areas are not ripe. Although they were very puzzled, such a thing had never happened in previous years. With doubts in mind, they helped pick cherries. Quickly filled with 3 large bamboo baskets of cherries. The total estimated weight is 600 to 700 pounds. I'll go find someone to help. Yi Taizhu originally thought that his son had not done much agricultural work, so he must have no brute force. But as Yi Xiaofan walked towards the door with ease, holding a bamboo basket filled with cherries. Xiaofan, don't show off. Be careful and ask your dad to help hold on. It's okay, it's not heavy. Yi Xiaofan is holding a large bamboo basket. About 200 pounds. But by doubling the weight, he is confident that he can still carry it. Is it so light? Yi Taizhu looked blankly and tried it himself. Oh. Yi Taizhu exerted too much force and twisted his waist. He let out a mournful cry, covered his waist, and sat on the ground. You guy, what are you doing? You're an old bone, let me see. Jiang He stomped his feet in anger. My son is young and strong, although his strength is terrifying, it is not beyond my understanding. Yi Taizhu is an old bone and follows blindly to show off his abilities. She touched it, and Yi Taizhu gasped in pain. Alright, I'll put some safflower oil on you when you go back. Just a sprain, people who do farm work will encounter it to some extent. Jiang He helped Yi Taizhu up. Yi Xiaofan walked over and looked over with concern. With a flash of inspiration, I'll rub it for you. Don't, it hurts a bit. Yi Taizhu was about to refuse. Yi Xiaofan's hand has already pressed against his waist. A warm breath surged in, like countless ants crawling past, crispy and numb. Yi Taizhu was surprised to find that there was no pain at all. Hee, I have learned some massage techniques from teachers at school, explained Yi Xiaofan. In fact, he had a sudden inspiration to nourish this part of the wound with the qi of green wood. Similar to the internal power therapy and blood stasis removal in movies and TV dramas. The effect is surprisingly good. Yi Xiaofan kneaded and pressed for less than a minute, and Yi Taizhu's sprain had already healed. Yi Taizhu stretched his muscles and bones, twisted his waist, and had fully returned to normal. This is also amazing. Jiang He was amazed and said, Xiaofan, you're really getting more and more skilled. Even Dr. Zhao from the village is not as skilled. Yi Xiaofan smiled humbly and carried the remaining 2 large baskets of cherries onto the car. I'll go to Qujiang now and sell these cherries to see how the market is going. Soon, 3 bamboo baskets full of cherries were filled. The total estimated weight is 600 to 700 pounds. I'll go find someone to help. Yi Taizhu originally thought that his son had not done much agricultural work, so he must have no brute force. But as Yi Xiaofan walked towards the door with ease, holding a bamboo basket filled with cherries. Xiaofan, don't show off. Be careful and ask your dad to help hold on. It's okay, it's not heavy. Yi Xiaofan is holding a large bamboo basket. About 200 pounds. This kind of brute force naturally shocked Yi Taizhu. When did his son have such strength? Yi Xiaofan drove a tricycle to Qujiang City. When we arrived at the Qujiang agricultural market, it was already over 9 o'clock. People come and go, it's very lively. There are too many people. Yi Xiaofan drove almost step by step, searching for a stall. There are not many rules in the morning market of the farmer's market. There is no booth fee, first come, first served. The diligent vendor arrived at 4 or 5 in the morning. It's difficult to find a location during Yi Xiaofan's time. Fortunately, there is also an open space deep in the farmer's market that happens to stop a tricycle. Coming late, there is no choice. Yi Xiaofan wandered around before realizing this location. From behind came the sound of 3-wheeled cars honking their horns, charging straight into the open space. Attempting to surpass Yi Xiaofan and occupy an empty booth earlier. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Empowering Others, Rich Second-Generation Fat Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Empowering Others, Rich Second-Generation Fat Man, you're so damn, get out of here. I discovered it first. A sudden brake and a red tricycle loaded with cabbage came to a stop. A burly man with a vest got off the car with a fierce momentum, his eyes slanted into the corners of his mouth, like scars from a centipede, exceptionally fierce and eye-catching. The voice is as loud as thunder. A strong man gives people the impression of a black villain or a criminal who has been imprisoned. Most people are likely to be intimidated in an instant. He strode up to Yi Xiaofan. He is 1.9 meters tall, 1 head taller than Yi Xiaofan, with muscular knots and a strong physique. Yi Xiaofan looked at him calmly. The strong man only thought that Yi Xiaofan was scared and foolish. After all, he has seen too many such cowards over the years. Most of them have the characteristics of clean skin, white skin, and a green and astringent appearance. Wang Wang. On the cherry bamboo basket, Wang Kai bared his teeth and barked fiercely at the strong man, trying to scare him away. Oh. Yi Xiaofan dragged out the ending, do you have any evidence that you first discovered it? Surveillance, or did you mark your urination? I'll fuck your uncle. The strong man roared like thunder. In an instant, it attracted the attention of many passers-by. He grabbed Yi Xiaofan's collar with his big hands like a fan and glared angrily, believe it or not, I'll spank you. I don't believe it. Yi Xiaofan's tone was calm, seeming very timid. He allowed himself to be caught, but he was very tough. How about you give me a try? You're so damn. The strong man laughed angrily, it was the first time he had encountered such a monster. Do you really think you dare not hit people? The strong man raised his hand and was about to slap Yi Xiaofan in the face. Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in the right wrist that was about to crack. At some point, Yi Xiaofan had already grasped the strong man's wrist with one hand and exerted a little force. The strong man let out a painful groan, his right hand muscles and bones were sore and weak, as if he had been grabbed by the switch of his entire body's strength. He couldn't control himself and released his palm. As Yi Xiaofan exerted his strength, the strong man instinctively bent and tilted his body, as if this could alleviate the pain. Loose, loose. It hurts. I was wrong, this position belongs to you. The strong man went from enduring to howling for mercy in less than 5 seconds, kneeling on one knee on the ground. Yi Xiaofan shrugged and let go of his hand, look at you. You're strong on the outside but weak on the inside. You insist on learning how to do things. Isn't this asking for trouble on your own? The strong man's face turned red and twisted, and he covered his wrist. I just feel like I saw a humanoid monster. Passengers could not personally feel Yi Xiaofan's terrifying wrist strength. I can only rely on the physical comparison between the two, and through intuition, I am convinced of Yi Xiaofen's statement that this strong man is someone who is both strong on the outside and capable on the inside. Kid, you're ruthless. The strong man regained his composure for a while, quickly got on the car, left a scene sentence, and quickly left. Yi Xiaofen smiled and didn't take it seriously, starting to prepare to sell cherries. I first went to the nearby faucet to fetch a bucket of clean tap water, and then placed it in a corner of the carriage. Then take out the marker and cardboard. Fresh big cherries cost 60 yuan per kilogram. Little one, thank you for your hard work. Yi Xiaofen hung the cardboard around Wang Cai's neck. I'll sell it out later and reward you with a big bone. Wang. Wang Cai responded excitedly, jumping obediently to the front of the car and squatting down. A childish call that attracts the attention of passers-by. Fresh big cherries, weighing 60 yuan per kilogram, full and juicy, fresh and sweet without sourness, making a profit from buying them. Yi Xiaofen shouted and sold without any fear. This is a cherry. Why is it like a plum? It's so big. Someone gradually came over to pick cherries. A neatly dressed veteran frowned and looked at the cherry with excellent appearance. However, 60 yuan per kilogram is too expensive, isn't it? This is only early May, and even the greenhouse cherries at Wanjiafu supermarket are only selling for 60 yuan per kilogram. The taste is sour. It's only after June that cherries are the most delicious. Not to mention the imported cherries at the end of the year. As a retail cherry grower, how dare you offer such a high price? This old man is obviously very familiar with cherries. Looking at the cherries in his hand, he feels both disgusted and curious. At close range, he could smell a faint fruity aroma. Before pricing, Yi Xiaofen also read the prices of several large fruit shops in Qujiang City through takeout software. It's early May now, and there are all greenhouse cherries on the market, with prices ranging from 40 yuan to 80 yuan. Is it outrageous to set a price of 60 yuan for the quality of one's own cherries? Yi Xiaofen smiled gently, picked a cherry and washed it in water. Try one for free, you keep trying. It's not worth the price, you're smashing my booth, he said. Grandpa is gentle and refined, either a scholar or some retired veteran cadres. Oh, you're quite confident. The old man smiled and took it over, nibbling lightly and savoring the flesh. It's really sweet. Most of the cherries produced at this time tend to be sour. The old man was amazed. The cherry taste was so good, fresh, sweet and delicious, much more delicious than the boutique cherries he bought in the big supermarket. Here's 5 pounds. The old man gestured and tasted the cherries comfortably, while scanning the exquisite cherries in the bamboo basket. He really can't pick out crooked melons and cracked dates, they all seem very delicious. Curiously asking Yi Xiaofen how to plant and cultivate cherries. Yi Xiaofen casually explained, took out an electronic scale, weighed the cherries, and said, a total of 5 pounds and 2 yang. That's 300 yuan for you, and the extra will be considered as a gift. Okay, if everything is delicious, I'll come back next time. The old man took out 2 from the bag, washed them, tasted them again, and then left satisfied. I thought it was a good start. Who would have thought many guests came to inquire and try the food? The stylishly dressed aunt approached and without hesitation took one and ate it without washing it. Free try. I'll try it, tsk, it's good. But it's too expensive. 35 yuan per kilogram, I'll buy 2 kilograms. Sorry, 60 yuan per kilogram is not negotiable. I can guarantee that you won't find any more delicious cherries than this. 60 yuan is definitely not a loss. Hee, are you treating me like a scapegoat? 60 yuan, you can keep it and ruin it. Auntie cursed and left. Yaya, come over here and try it for free. Wash me too and give it a try. The old lady with her 5 or 6-year-old granddaughter is also very natural, as if returning home. Yi Xiaofan takes a look at one old and one young, just two. Wow, Grandma, it's so delicious, I still want to eat it. The chubby little girl tasted one and immediately jumped and cried, wanting to eat the second one. The old lady quickly ate a cherry like a bolt of a date and confidently said, "This one is too sour. Let's try a few more. If it's sweet, I'll buy it." She opened her hands wide like chicken feet, trying to grab as many cherries as possible. Yi Xiaofan blocked her and responded impolitely, "Sorry, each person only tried one. If it tastes good, buy it, if it doesn't, you can leave." "Oh. Little doll, are you just doing business like this? You're stingy, you can't go far. Isn't it just trying a few more cherries? These 3 big baskets of cherries are not short of these 3 or 5. Grandma, I want to eat cherries, I want to eat cherries." The little girl cried loudly. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Surprisingly Shocked Parents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Surprisingly Shocked Parents. Yi Xiaofan looked at the saved phone number. All kinds of traces indicate that Jin Feiyang is a wealthy second generation. He didn't have any deposit and was even taken away with a bag of cherries, which made him a little worried. What if I get tricked? I'm really going to be fooled. If Chunan City turns upside down, I'll beat you up. I can't bear to let go of my child, I can't keep a wolf. Everyone has left, and Yi Xiaofan has no way to repent. He packed his things and drove straight to the Grand Hotel in the city center. In the city center, there are towering skyscrapers and the sign of Junal Hotel is very eye-catching. Yi Xiaofan sighed in his heart that he had been working at a nearby company a month ago. I didn't expect to be selling cherries now. Driving a tricycle, we arrived at the main entrance of the Junal Hotel. On the left side of the security booth, 2 suit security guards holding walkie-talkies stood at the car gate, looking at Yi Xiaofan in an instant with a cold and contemptuous look. Yi Xiaofan took out his phone and made a call. "Hello, may I ask?" Yi Xiaofan hesitated a bit, as he didn't know how to address Jin Feiyang's mother. "Jin Xiao purchased a cart of cherries, and I have already delivered them to the door, but the security guard refused to let them in." Yi Xiaofan quickly changed his words. "Oh, okay, I'll have my assistant pick you up." The woman's voice on the phone is soft and pleasant to the ear. After speaking, he hung up the phone. 2 security guards in suits have already walked towards Yi Xiaofan, impatiently waving their hands and saying, "Move away quickly, don't get in the way. Don't even see what this place is. The guests who come and go to our hotel are either rich or expensive. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Ferrari, if you just bump into them, you won't be able to afford it in your lifetime." The skinny security guard with a mole on the left corner of his mouth spoke harshly. But the walkie-talkie quickly rang, instructing them to let go. Surprised, the 2 pressed the remote control, opened the brake, and retreated to one side with a still gentle attitude. "Go in. Just a cherry vendor, it's not worth their kindness." Yi Xiaofan didn't care about their attitude and drove in. Woo woof. On the car, Wang Kai angrily barked at them twice. Unfortunately, at just 1 month old, it has a milky voice and no deterrent effect on humans. Before Yi Xiaofan successfully entered the hotel fountain, the phone rang. Following the instructions of the assistant, Yi Xiaofan drove to the back door of the hotel. A short-haired beauty in gray professional attire, wearing glasses, with 2 workers beside her. After seeing Yi Xiaofan, he welcomed him with a cold attitude. After parking the car, she walked to the side of the car and picked cherries casually, carefully examining the quality, afraid that the owner might make mistakes and buy some crooked melons and cracked dates. However, looking at her expression, she seemed surprised by the quality of cherries. "Don't worry, my cherry is definitely good. What do you call Mississippi?" Yi Xiaofan guessed that she was the assistant. While passionately pouring out mineral water and cleaning cherries, "Can you give it a try?" "No need, it looks okay. Blue Ice Cloud frowned slightly and shook his head to refuse. Yi Xiaofan had no choice but to give the cherries to Wang Kai sitting beside him. What price? Blue Ice Cloud came straight to the point. 60 yuan per kilogram. 60 yuan per kilogram. Lan Bingyun suddenly increased her volume and stared at Yi Xiaofan. Do you know how much the cherries in Tianqin Garden are supplied to us? The wholesale price for Tianqin Garden's premium cherries is 25 yuan per kilogram. Tianqin Garden is one of the top fruit brands in China, with excellent quality and top-notch grade. A retail investor, selling more expensive than Tianqin Garden's premium cherries. Yi Xiaofan shrugged nonchalantly and said, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter to me what other people offer. When Jin Xiao made a purchase with me, he said 60 yuan per kilogram was very cheap. Otherwise, could you please contact Jin Xiao? Yi Xiaofan answered truthfully. Large quantity, a discount of 3 to 5 yuan, it's nothing. This assistant's intention is not just to offer a slight discount. You. Blue Ice Cloud's eyebrows stood on end. Cooperate with our hotel, and if the quality is up to standard, we will also make long-term acquisitions. Sorry, that's a matter of the future. I have already discussed it with Mr. Jin, but this car cannot be discounted at the moment. Yi Xiaofan shook his head. He understood the principle of giving up profits, but he couldn't make any further changes to a deal that had already been negotiated. Lan Bingyun is not satisfied and needs to negotiate. How about you give me Jin Xiao's phone number so that I can talk to him again? Lan Bingyun ignored him and took out his phone, not knowing who he was contacting. Mr. Gao, this vendor is too barbaric. The price they offer is much higher than Tianqin Garden, and they are unwilling to lower the price. 60 yuan per kilogram. But slightly close, with Yi Xiaofan's current ear strength, he can hear the phone content slightly. The person contacted by Lan Bingyun should be Jin Feiyang's mother. She reacted calmly on the phone and didn't care about the price difference at all. After all, the business they do and the guests they receive are all very high-end. Yi Xiaofan is not even considered a supplier and is not worthy of being treated seriously by the big boss. It's like a wealthy person giving alms to beggars, making them change. This is too disappointing. Got it. Lan Bingyun hung up the phone. The boss has already spoken, what else can she do as a little assistant? You move things down and weigh them, she commanded the workers. Yi Xiaofan smiled and took the initiative to help move the goods onto the warehouse scale. A total of 423 pounds of cherries, let's count it as 420 pounds. These 3 pounds will be my gift to you. Yi Xiaofan specially packed 3 pounds of cherries and handed them to Lan Bingyun. Follow me to the finance department, and I'll have the finance department settle the payment for you. Xiao Zhou, please tell Director Lin to handle these cherries. By the way, remember to leave some for Mr. Gao. Blue Ice Cloud calmly took the cherry. Which of those suppliers, when seeking to meet Mr. Gao, is not as generous as this? With this person's attitude and price, Junle Hotel cannot continue to purchase cherries from him. Yi Xiaofan also understands this. The size of Junle Hotel is too large, and the work of departments such as the procurement department is related to fruits. Where do high-level executives care about the quality of a fruit and seek follow-up cooperation? If it weren't for encountering the chubby Jin Feiyang by chance, even this cherry truck wouldn't have been sold to the Junle Hotel. So, I didn't have much hope for this kind of thing. Silently following behind Blue Ice Cloud. Upon arriving at the finance office, Lan Bingyun informed the finance department. Wait here, the finance department will settle your account later. Not a guest, Lan Bingyun didn't have time to continue greeting Yi Xiaofan and left in a lively manner. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the payment was transferred to Yi Xiaofan's card. On the other side, Blue Ice Cloud carried a plate of cherries and entered the office of the Deputy General Manager. Inside, a beautiful and charming woman is working on documents. "Is this the cherry that Xiao Yang bought at the market?" said Gao Lijin, looking up. "Yes, it's over 400 pounds, the price is already expensive. During this period, the cherry flavor won't be too good, and it's difficult to sell it all out." Lan Bingyun said in distress, "It's too wasteful." Gorian didn't take it seriously. "She doesn't know how to eat while working." However, the plate of cherries in front of me was glistening with water droplets, like red agates, with a faint fruity aroma that captivated the appetite. She instinctively tasted one. The flesh was full, tender and juicy, and the fragrance lingered in her mouth and nose. Gorian stared at the cherry in her hand in surprise. The flesh was juicy and juicy, emitting a delicate fragrance. "Am I right? It's not delicious." Lan Bingyun has already determined that the cherry taste during this period is not good. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The Cherry Incident, Hidden Willows and Bright Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Cherry Incident, Hidden Willows and Bright Flowers. But soon, a strange smell added to the entire office. Lan Bingyun couldn't help but swallow her saliva. What kind of cherry? The aroma is too strong, isn't it? She can feel the sweetness of cherries through their scent. No, it's very delicious. Gorian picked up another cherry and casually said, "Try it yourself. It's worth 60 yuan per kilogram, so don't worry about not selling it out." Although they are superior and subordinate, they share the same feelings as sisters. "Wow, it's so delicious." Lan Bingyun immediately took a cherry and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. "After eating it, I realized that 60 yuan per kilogram is not a loss." Meanwhile, the head chef's office. 400 pounds of cherries. Are you crazy? With so many, you may not be able to use them all in a week. The director of food and beverage, Lin Chuanfei, felt a bit angry when he heard the assistant's report. Although cherries are one of the high-end fruits that are prepared in various dining areas, the quantity is not large. He knows better than anyone that some of the cherries in the greenhouse are sour and sweet. Now it's just a decoration to enrich the variety of fruits, but actually not many people will like to eat it. And they need to control the quality of the food and ensure the freshness of the fruits. "We can't use it up today, we can only supply it until tomorrow morning at most, and we absolutely can't continue to supply it to customers afterwards." That. According to Sister Bingyun, it was bought by Jin Xiao. Jin Feiyang. This bastard doesn't spend money like that. This is not the first time Jin Feiyang has made a mistake. Previously, this kid saw the pitiful uncle selling sweet potatoes and waved his hand to buy all 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of sweet potatoes from him. The restaurant at Junel Hotel doesn't even use sweet potatoes as a food ingredient. During that time, the staff restaurant was filled with sweet potato-related dishes and food, and the employees felt nauseous when they smelled the taste of sweet potatoes. Forget it, a portion will be placed in the buffet area. You can negotiate with other departments to make fruit platters and supply them to executive lounges, lobbies, and other places. The rest, for the next few days, will be used as post-meal fruits for employees' meals. Lin Chuanfei waved his hand and his anger dissipated. After all, it wasn't spending his money. "It doesn't matter how you handle this batch of cherries." Oh. Just then, the phone rang. "Yes, I understand." Lin Chuanfei received a call from Lan Bingyun and hung up, then ordered, "Leave 30 pounds for Mr. Gao, and do the rest as I instructed." Quickly, this batch of cherries was washed and plattered before being sent to the buffet areas, bars, cafes, lobbies, and other areas of Chinese and Western restaurants. The restaurant on the 7th floor. "Mom, I want to eat that red fruit." The little girl followed her mother and pointed to the bright red cherry in the buffet area. "This is called cherry, also known as cherry." "Really? Why is it different from what we bought?" It's about the same, but this one's a bit too big." Let me pick some for you. You didn't even eat the cherries you bought last week. Wow, this one tastes much better, take a little more. Dad, what kind of fruit smells so good? I want to eat it. I don't eat watermelons, I also want cherries. The buffet area offers a wide variety of delicacies, with over a dozen fruits in the fruit area. The plump and large cherries are very eye-catching. After customers tried fresh cherries one after another, the aroma spread and caused a chain reaction. More and more guests noticed cherries and were immediately overwhelmed by the taste of cherries. Each table was filled with a plate full of cherries. Other fruits are actually ignored. Under the urging of the customer, the salesperson rushed to replenish the goods twice in a row. The response was surprisingly enthusiastic. As the director of catering, Lin Chuanfei received feedback early on, and although it was unexpected, he didn't take it seriously. How delicious it can be. Hee, maybe there aren't many cherries on the market yet, customers just need to taste them fresh. Lin Chuanfei didn't take it seriously. At most, contact Tianxin Garden later and ask them to send over more cherries tomorrow. Director Lin, Mr. Lei from Sunshine Real Estate, would like to purchase 3 pounds of cherries from us. The manager in charge of the authentic Chinese restaurant called. Lei is always a diamond customer in our hotel. If he wants it, just give it to him. Do I need to teach him all this? Lin Chuanfei was instantly furious. But there are no cherries left. What nonsense. Please contact Xiao Li. There are at least 200 kilograms of cherries in the fresh-keeping warehouse. It's only been less than 2 hours, and it's impossible for the dining area to consume all the cherries. I have asked. On the restaurant side, many customers even buy some cherries after finishing their meals, and according to their customer level, they sell them in half and give them as gifts. The banquet hall also consumed nearly 100 pounds of cherries. The housekeeping department has received news that many guests today, contrary to their usual behavior, have voluntarily ordered cherry fruit plates. Each department has provided feedback on customers' demand for cherries. The manager reported grievances. If there were any, would he bother Director Lin, who has a hot temper? Alright, I'll contact Tianxin Yuan now and ask him to deliver a batch of cherries as soon as possible. Tell Mr. Lei that it will be delivered to his mansion later. Lin Chuanfei was surprised by the rapid consumption of cherries and quickly responded. After hanging up the phone, Lin Chuanfei vaguely felt something was wrong again. We used to supply cherries before, but why is it that the customer is so eager for cherries today? But what's missing and what's missing? Taoyuan Orchard is not far from Qujiang City, and fresh cherries can be transported before evening. After leaving the Junle Hotel, Yi Xiaofan. He drove a tricycle and went to the supermarket to make some purchases first. Here, I've bought you dried meat and a grinding stick. Yi Xiaofan threw a large bag of supplies onto the car and touched Wang Kai. Woo woof. Wang Kai excitedly approached the bag. Sit still, let's go home now. I have a little donkey that I never ride. Yi Xiaofan hummed a joyful song. Returning to Taoyuan Village, it was already 5 p.m. in the evening. Yi Taizhu and Jiang He are cooking. Yi Xiaofan entered the room carrying a large bag of things. What? 60 yuan per kilogram, all sold out. It's really fake, don't deceive us. When Yi Xiaofan reports good news. Jiang He and Yi Taizhu were clearly shocked. Without saying a word, Yi Xiaofan presented the payment statement, which was 50 yuan, 120 yuan, 300 yuan. And the final amount of over 20,000 yuan. 2 years ago, we finally managed to reach out to the merchants, and their purchase price was only 15 yuan per kilogram. The yield was low, and selling all the cherries only earned over 6,000 yuan. It's better to farm. Last year, the production increased slightly, but the market was not good and prices plummeted. Your father lost more than 10,000 yuan. Jiang he was both surprised and delighted, informing Yi Xiaofan of the previous predicament in the cherry orchard. Yi Taizhu felt a bit embarrassed and smiled, is the cherry market so good this year? It seems like we can finally make money. We can definitely make money, it's best not to sell to intermediaries. We'll find our own sales channels. Yi Xiaofan definitely answered. Although I weighed over 400 pounds today, I was lucky enough to secure a large order and successfully sold it. But it really inspired him. Alas, the orchard cherries are only so ripe, nothing else is ripe, and there are no products. What kind of sales are we looking for? Yi Taizhu sighed, but his expression was mostly positive. However, it also solved the urgent situation. Today, I made a total of more than 30,000 yuan. Including the money you earned from Xiaoyao Xiaoxiannong yesterday, I already have 60,000 yuan. Yes, that's enough. I've asked my cousin from Rotten Legs to help me intercede. I'm sure it's enough to pay off the debt. Jiang he said, showing a relaxed expression. Their family is honest and doesn't dare to fight against thugs like Rotten Legs. Yi Xiaofan was a bit angry. The other party hit his father, how could he just forget about it? Suddenly, they were startled by the noise outside. Bang! The sound of kicking the door came from outside the courtyard. The door was kicked open with a loud bang. A group of people stormed into the yard in a fierce manner. End of this chapter.